The Real Madrid Galacticos era is simply iconic, but the first era between 2000 and 2006 is kind of considered a bit of a failure. They won trophies, don't get me wrong, but they definitely didn't dominate. So that gave me an idea. What if I rewrote history and created my own Galacticos in a retro database? So using the mad scientist and Mr. Tiny's 98-99 database, I took over Real Madrid to start a brand new Galacticos era, and this team had some big names, but it needed some work. Because in real life, this is the year where Real Madrid lost 12 times and finished 11 points behind Barcelona. But before we begin, let's establish some rules and some challenges. First off, I can't sign any of the players during this era that Real Madrid signed, including Zidane or David Beckham. And to consider it a success, we need to win more trophies in those 6 seasons than the original team did. Which means I have to win 3 league titles and 2 Champions League trophies. They never actually won a Copa del Rey in the 6 years of the Galacticos, so just one of them will do. However, in 6 years, there was 3 different Ballon d'Or winners. And that is going to be very tricky and kind of unachievable, but let's see how I started anyway. Now, obviously, in the team that I inherited, there are some fantastic players, including Raul or Clarence Seedorf and Roberto Carlos, but there is still a lot of work to be done. And tactically, I built a system starting off using the Feed the Beast and ended up going for a 3 up front striker formation with 3 in midfield, but with a winger because we've got Savio who can play from the left and he's really good. Now, Real Madrid started to splash the money in the year 2000 when they signed Luis Figo, but a year before they've given us £30 million and I'm making good use of it. I've already put in bids for Gianluigi Buffon to play in goal for us and Henrik Larsson, who at Celtic is a fantastic player. One of the weaknesses I really felt that this Real Madrid side is not having a good goalkeeper, and Iker Casillas is not around yet, and Buffon, well, it's Gianluigi Buffon. And the reason why I signed Henrik Larsson is the fact that we're playing 3 up top and Davor Suker is in his 30s. And so these 2 players are my first in the Galacticos era. Bringing in Buffon and Henrik Larsson is 2 players that obviously never played for Real Madrid, but are quite iconic players. And both players settled into life in Madrid rather well, and Raul and Henrik Larsson were setting each other up to score a lot of goals at the start of the season. Our league season kicked off with 4 wins from 4, and we scored just a minimum of 3 goals in every single game. However, we were kind of humbled in the UEFA Super Cup when Ronaldo scored 2 goals for Inter Milan and beat us 4-1. But we have our Champions League group fixtures, and we've got Shakhtar, Celtic without, of course, Henrik Larsson, and Udinese. And Henrik Larsson showed no love lost to Celtic when they came to the Bernabeu, as we beat them 4-1, and he did get himself on the score sheet. However, he didn't exactly celebrate, so fair play to him. Different story when we went to Glasgow though, as Celtic actually beat us 2-1 with Mark Viduka scoring both goals. However, we have already qualified from our group with just joint points with 1 game to go with Udinese. A game in which we were 2-0 down at home and had to rescue, scoring 2 goals for the point so that we didn't actually finish in 2nd place and we finished top of the group just on goal difference. The league table though is looking rather mad because champions Barcelona are down in 4th place, 9 points behind us, despite Patrick Kluivert scoring 19 goals, and we've only played 15 games so far. Yes, we're top of the league by 8 points. We've only lost 1 to our rivals Atletico Madrid, and we've drew to Espanyol. However, we've yet to play Barcelona, and that game's up next. So to stamp our dominance in the Galacticos era, we need a win in our first El Clasico. However, it did not go our way because the Barcelona keeper had other ideas, putting in a man-of-the-match performance, and there was only 1 goal scored, and Luis Enrique, who curved one into the top corner. Just look at the dominance though. That was their only shot on target and only 1 of 3 that they had all game, when we had 26 with 10 on target. No wonder why their keeper got man of the match. So that was obviously really disappointing. I'm looking at this side and I'm wondering what we can potentially do because the board have just given me £58 million in January. So I went and signed one of my favourite players from this era in Rui Costa. The 26-year-old is going to be one of my first Galacticos signings, and I just had to do it. Look how good his attributes are, and yes, he cost me £58 million from Fiorentina, but I think he is going to be worth it. And to say it reduced rejuvenated us would be an understatement because we went on a massive winning streak, carrying that form into the Champions League as we knocked out Kaiserslautern, going into the quarter-final where we have to face Chelsea next. The Chelsea team, which has the likes of Marcel Desailly. However, with the tie being 3-3 in the second leg of extra time at Stamford Bridge, we had to rely on an own goal being scored by Ben Thatcher to progress through to the semi-final. In the midst of all this, though, we also found ourselves in the Copa del Rey final to play Barcelona again. And this went all the way to penalties where Rui Costa stepped up and missed the decider, and we lost. But at least in this defeat, it wasn't as one-sided as it was last time. At least in La Liga, though, we were still riding high and still at the top of the league, 84 to 78 points ahead of Barcelona, and Patrick Kluivert has 31 goals. Who knows? Maybe I should sign young Patrick Kluivert for my Real Madrid Galacticos side. This could be a monumental season for us, though, as we go into the Champions League semi-final with Arsenal to play, and the winner going on to face either Bayern Munich or Inter Milan. In the first leg at Highbury, though, we were 2-1 up in the 90th minute before Dennis Bergkamp scored, and then Nicolas Anelka really put in a sucker punch, scoring in the 96th minute. We absolutely destroyed them in the second leg, though. It was like playing two different teams, and Rui Costa even made up for his penalty miss in the cup final with this rocket. And we cement our position in the final with a 4-0 win on the night and 6-3 on aggregate to go on to face Bayern Munich in the final. Once again, though, we were beaten in an El Clasico, and this one meant something because our form had really dropped off in the league, and with one game to go, they beat us, meaning that they could technically still win the league, although our goal difference is far, far superior despite being 3 points clear. And we only improved that goal difference on the final day of the season, beating Salamanca 7-0 without them even having a shot to lift the La Liga trophy, the first of 3 that we need to do within 6 seasons. And now we've just got to beat Bayern Munich in the final for this to be a fantastic season, but they've got some talented players. 2-2 after 90 minutes, but in extra time, Bayern Munich score a penalty. However, we get a penalty of our own in the second half and it's dispatched. But with us only down to 10 men, Bayern Munich really put the pressure on, and just 2 minutes later, the same player Effenberg scored the winner. So in very dramatic fashion, we lose in the Champions League final. However, I'm still really pleased with this season. But things can only get better because £126 million is what they've given me for next season's transfer budget. And I have a few players in mind for my new Galacticos era. However, there was a player leaving the club as Manchester United activated Fernando Morientes' release clause of £38.5 million. And our top scorer of next season is off to Manchester. We have already been busy though, because Sol Campbell from Tottenham is the first transfer we've got coming in for £48 million to bolster our defence. We've also got Giuliano Belletti, who can play right back very well and help us on that right hand side, and we've got Robert Pires, who can play right midfield. Although we don't have one right now, my plans are to change the way our shape looks going into season number 2. And finally, we've put in a bid for Marcelo Gallardo from River Plate for £33 million. It's been accepted. We are just waiting to see if he accepts the contract. So my plan for season number 2 is very simple. Where we had the winger on the left-hand side, we were going to change it to the right, but then when I seen Gallardo come up, I decided to change it again. And now we have Galacticos tactic number 2, where we have an attacking midfielder and the winger on the right-hand side. But still, when players come and go, we'll have to play around with it and see what works. The arrival of Robert Pires and changing the tactic meant that we could sell Savio, and he left to go to Inter Milan for quite a low cost of just £16.75 million. But the 4 players that we have brought in already live up to that Galacticos name, the high-profile, highly talented players that can now benefit our starting 11. With a little bit of money left, that meant we could still bring in some more talent, so I decided to bring in Wes Brown from Manchester United for less than £10 million. Only 19 years of age with a lot of potential still to go. But I wasn't stopping there, because then I brought in Michael Ballack for again just £10 million from Kaiserslautern. The 22-year-old midfielder looks fantastic. And I decided it would be a good idea to slot Ballack into the heart of the midfield ahead of Redondo, because in the long run, he will be a better player than him. Not to mention, alongside him, he's going to have the likes of Rui Costa, who's just... He just looks absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, with those tactical tweaks, we might have expected a bit of a slow start, but that definitely was not the case, as we played Atletico Madrid in the very first game and Gallardo scored the opening goal. It was a lot more of a closer game than we anticipated, but we still picked up the 3 points against our rivals, as we did in the next game where we stuffed Real Betis 6-0. Our first sniff at a Ballon d'Or came as Davor Suker finished in 3rd place behind Arsenal's Dennis Bergkamp and Michael Owen, who lifted the trophy, which means now we've got to win 3 in the next 5 years, which could be really tricky. We continue our good run on the pitch though, especially in La Liga, and Marcelo Gallardo, considering he's playing in a new role for us in the number 10, is banging in the goals. There has been a few hiccups in the Champions League though. We've been put in a group with Manchester United and we've lost 2 times already, 1 to them and 1 to Wisla Krakow from Poland at home. In the league, however, it's 10 wins from 10. That is impressive. In fact, the only game we didn't win in La Liga all the way up until the new year was away from home against Real Zaragoza, who've pulled off a fantastic equaliser in the dying minutes. We were, however, once again destroyed by Alex Ferguson's Manchester United 5-2 at home, but we still qualified from our group, finishing in 2nd place with 3 wins from our 6. Our first game of the new year, though, is against Barcelona, who we have yet to play, and they are in 2nd place, still trailing us by 7 points. Speaking of Barcelona though, I'm about to make one of their legendary players a Galacticos player, because I'm about to sign a young Ronaldinho. At 19 years of age, he's already moved to Arsenal very early on for just £2.3 million, and he's played very well in the Premier League this season, and I'm going to try and make him a Real Madrid player. We've had our bid accepted, we're just waiting for the contract offer to go through, and Ronaldinho has accepted our offer. However, I thought I would be smart, because he's getting first team football at Arsenal right now. He might not get that here, so I've agreed to do the deal in July. You might have also noticed though, the board are really backing us, and they've given us £200 million in the transfer budget. I don't know. So I went out and bought another Barcelona player from this era in Deco, and the young Brazilian joined for £5 million, but I've loaned him straight out to Tenerife. And I went and signed Alessandro Nesta from Lazio. One of the world's best centre-backs have joined my Real Madrid side for £107 million. And my thinking with this is simple. The former Galacticos era that we know from real life had Fabio Cannavaro, one of Italy's best defenders, who actually won the Ballon d'Or. And this one, Alessandro Nesta, is arguably just as good. He can now slot in my defence with Sol Campbell, who can play out on the right, and he can go alongside Hierro, and our team is just a couple of players away from being an unbeatable force. Which, to be fair, we are very close from doing already. Let's go back to the El Clasico and catch up what happened there, because, well, we took another 3 points. We were very lucky though. We went down to 10 men with Robert Perez being sent off on the 57th minute, and Patrick Kluivert missed a penalty, and that means we extend our lead now to 10 points, and we're still unbeaten in La Liga. We got all the way to the Copa del Rey final, and it was Atletico Madrid who we faced, but unfortunately this extra time finisher right into the top corner was the winner for Atletico, in what quite frankly would have been a fantastic game. But again, we had a player sent off after 60 minutes. And that's 2 years in a row we finished runners-up in the Copa del Rey, which I'm not too pleased with. We won't be finishing runners-up in the Champions League 2 years in a row, because Juve have knocked us out in the quarter-final. Our saving grace for this season has been our league form, and we have not stepped off at all. We have been absolutely fantastic and got the job done, being named as champions with 4 games remaining and still unbeaten across the season. However, one of the teams that can change that is Patrick Kluivert's Barcelona, after he's got 38 goals in 34 games, and we play him on the final day at the new camp. And of course, when it came down to it, you just knew he was going to score, and he got the opener. Quite frankly though, despite us being champions, Barcelona trounced us 3-0 and gave us our only loss across the whole season. But you never guess what the board have done. They've only gone and topped the transfer budget for next summer up to £258 million. We still had 90 in there after our January window, and we've got Ronaldinho still to arrive after playing now a full season at Arsenal. I think that was a good decision. He played 30 games in total. I don't know what to do now with this team. I don't know how to make it any better. We have got some fantastic players for every position, I know there is a couple, for instance, Hierro, I think, is just too slow for us. I think we could get a better player for there. Andy is 32. Maybe we can improve the midfield. £258 million. This is got to be a statement summer. And this summer window could go down as Real Madrid's best ever, because not only did we bring in Ronaldinho from Arsenal age 20, but we also brought in Lucio at centre-back, 22 years of age. And yes, we did spend £133 million, but I think it is worth it. He is one of the best, if not the best, in the world in his position. Not to mention a smart signing for the future, bringing in the young Philip Lamb, who's just 16 years of age, coming through the FC Bayern Youth Academy. We picked him up for just £7.5 million. He's already quite good. But I had to wait for the Euros to finish to get the player that I really wanted to bring in this summer, as we steal and sign another acquisition from Arsenal, as Andrei Shevchenko joins the club for £107 million off the back of 24 goals in the Premier League for the Gunners. And this man has all the talent in the world to do it in the big leagues and go straight into our starting 11 alongside Ronaldinho in that centre mid slot and Lucio at the back. And considering we weren't allowed to sign any of the original Galacticos players, I feel like we've assembled the Avengers. There's some unbelievable players coming in, and the fact that we've got Ronaldinho playing for us instead of going to Barcelona, where he was one of the main reasons why the Galacticos era at Real Madrid didn't really take off, because he was doing so well at Barcelona. This team is just phenomenal and fantastic, and I really think we should be pushing for a Champions League next year. There were some sacrifices to be made though, as Clarence Seedorf went the other way and joined Arsenal, as well as our other centre mid, Redondo, who's now 31 and he moved to Lazio. And he was also joined by Fernando Hierro, the legendary centre-back for us at Real Madrid, moved for £10 million. But obviously I've stole Deco, I've stole Ronaldinho from Barcelona, I've stole another one too. Because I forgot to mention that I found Samuel Eto'o as a free transfer, signed him up in for my under-19s, he's only 19 years of age, and I've loaned him out to Auxerre. And once again, we start the season with an unbelievable fashion with a 4-0 win, and Andrei Shevchenko getting himself on the score sheet not once, but twice. In fact, he scored in all 3 of the first 3 games, but that's not really surprising when we won 4-0, 7-1 and 8-0. He also scored in our first Champions League game of the seasons, as the Brazilians linked up really well for Gallardo to then set up Shevchenko for a wonderful finish. Although Shevchenko wasn't the only goal scorer, we won that game 7-1. And despite us being on a rampage this season, it was Barcelona's Patrick Kluivert who won the Ballon d'Or, though that's not really surprising when he got 52 goals in 40 appearances last season. And yes, for those of you who are counting, we've now got to get 3 Ballon d'Ors just to level them in the next 4 years, and we need to win all 4 if we want to beat what the Galacticos era did. Our unbeaten run came to an end though, as we went to Valencia and lost 2-0 away from home. However, in the same month, we picked up a fantastic win in the Champions League, as we went to Anfield and won with the same result. In fact, the loss to Valencia kind of gave us the kick that we needed to up our game once again, as we went to Barcelona and beat them 3-0. In fact, it was Valencia who was the closest to us in the league table. They were 4 points behind us after giving us our only loss of the season. In fact, the only points we dropped, but Shevchenko was running away with the golden boot. Some of the loan signings that we had from our young talent was doing really well, including Samuel Eto'o. The development is already there, but he also has 11 goals in just 14 games in the French league. It doesn't count for much, but it's still nice that we've won the Spanish Super Cup after defeating Barcelona and Valencia 5-1 in the final. Not to mention, in the new Champions League format, we won 7 out of our 8 and only drew to Partizan away from home. It's kind of the game we really should have been winning. However, a problem in the round of 16, we came up against AC Milan and they beat us 2-1 at the San Siro with a 96th minute winner. Luckily for us though, when they came to the Bernabeu, we defeated them 6-3 in the second leg. And after swapping quite a few of our players, we've got Arsenal to play in the quarter-final. Domestically, we couldn't get our revenge against Valencia after giving our defeat, because they went and drew after scoring an equaliser very late on at the Bernabeu. But we do have an opportunity to knock them out of the Spanish Cup, as it's 1-1 with the second leg still to play. And Marcelo Gallardo brace helped us get through to the final after beating them 4-1 at home and going on to face Deportivo La Coruña in the final. And finally, in the third season, we lift the Copa del Rey. It absolutely could go down to the wire in La Liga though, because Barcelona have mounted a comeback and have gone level on points of us, although we still have 2 games left on them, but we lost to Espanyol recently. And after winning those 2 games in hand, we just had to beat them at the Nou Camp and we would be champions. However, with being 3-1 up with just a minute to play, they scored 2 goals. Heartbreakingly as well, it was in the 94th and 95th minute. It doesn't change too much though. We've got an unbelievable 138 goal difference and we're 3 points clear with 3 games to play. We should, I say should, win the league. Back to the Champions League though, and we made light work of Arsenal, defeating them in the quarter-final across 2 legs. And then we were drawn against Parma in the semi-final, and with their deceivingly good side, they put up a good fight, but after 2 3-1 wins, we progressed through to another Champions League final. What I didn't realise is Parma were actually the Champions League winners last season. And we've got Liverpool to face this season in the final in what could be a very important game because yes, you've probably worked it out, we could be on for a treble this season. There was surely no way we could lose the La Liga title. We went on and battered the last 3 teams that we needed to play, and Rui Costa bagged himself a goal in the final game. And we end up lifting La Liga trophy quite comfortably with 104 points, but with 145 goal difference. That's one of the highest I've ever seen. And yes, that means we've won 3 La Liga trophies in a row, and that is one of the challenges we had to do. And it also meant we were just 1 game away from lifting the treble against this fantastic Liverpool team. However, we started the game rather slow and Liverpool took advantage when Robbie Fowler managed to get himself on the score sheet to make it 1-0. We finally found ourselves an equaliser, but it was Raul and it was from the penalty spot. But immediately from our kickoff, Liverpool won the ball back, chucked a lot of players forward, and the former Ballon d'Or winner Michael Owen made it 2-1. It wasn't until the second half until we managed to pull it back levelable, and that was thanks to a set piece when Gallardo pulled it back. Lucille found Rui Costa and he found the back of the net. Meaning the game went to extra time, and on the stroke of half-time of extra time, Ronaldinho found Shevchenko and he found the winner. And despite us being behind twice in that match, we showed a lot of resilience and lift our first Champions League win. Of course, we do need another one. Let's not gloss over the fact though that we have just won a treble, which is very hard to do in any club. Despite obviously buying the best players in the world, we are up against some of the world's greatest players of all time. We've had a fantastic season. Shevchenko has been a revelation for us. And to be honest, I'm looking at him and thinking that could be a Ballon d'Or win right there, which of course is another competition that we need to be winning. But I know damn well you're already thinking, Luke, how much money do you have to bring in a new Galacticos this summer? And with one player going out in Davor Suker who is leaving the club to go to Porto, we bring in a big one. £200 million for Patrick Vieira, one of the best, if not the best, centre defensive midfielder of this era. And with that being £300 million spent on Arsenal players recently, we sold a couple of more players and it brought up enough money to sign Lars Ricken, an attacking midfielder who can also play naturally on the right or centre midfield from Dortmund. This guy has some fantastic attributes to be a very valuable asset in terms of a squad player for us. In the summer, we also took part in the Club World Championship, and after defeating Ajax in the quarter-final, we then played Liverpool and beat them in extra time, meaning we have to face Parma in the final. And with the scores level at 2-2 going into the final minutes of the game, Marcelo Gallardo stepped up, ran through the middle and popped in the winner for Real Madrid. No more new signings come in as we approach the new season. The only change I really want to make is I want to make sure I'm playing Philip Lahm every single game in that right back position. Last season, he obviously didn't. He went out on loan to Bochum and played 24 games. This season, he needs the game time in the first team if we want him to be where he needs to be for season number 5 and 6. And we started season number 4 exactly how we finished season number 3, just battering teams in La Liga, as Valencia, Real Sociedad and Espanyol never really put up a fight. But that was instantly backed up with a rather shocking result of a 0-0 away to Las Palmas, even though we had 15 shots and 6 on target. Immediately going into a Champions League fixture against Chelsea where Lucio scored the only only goal of the game. And I think we can safely say we're back on track. 5-0, 1-0, and a 10-1 at home to Bayer Leverkusen. And just like that, the little hiccup of the 0-0 draw to Las Palmas was kind of forgotten because we had some fantastic news. Because Andrei Shevchenko has been named a Ballon d'Or winner at Real Madrid. 40 goals and 10 assists in 50 appearances. Of course, we won the treble. That is our first of 3, hopefully, Ballon d'Or winners in 6 seasons. And he celebrated by doing what Shevchenko does best. Of course, that's putting the ball in the back of the opposition's net. Our winning run continued. In fact, we even stopped conceding goals altogether, and La Liga was looking good again with us being top of the league, although Barcelona are just a point behind. When we eventually played them in December, it was Barcelona, though, who broke the deadlock from a corner. But in the second half, very late on, from a corner of our own, Raul stepped up and found us an equaliser. Things are looking real good in the Champions League. We won all 8 of our league phase games, and in La Liga we were still top of the league, and Barcelona have fallen off, down 7 points behind us now after losing 3 games in total. And we continue to extend the run by just absolutely battering teams who couldn't really hold on to the fact that we've got the best attack in the world. By the end of March, with 9 games remaining, we were still 7 points clear because Barcelona continued to win as well, but we are still unbeaten. The same cannot be said though in the Champions League, as Rangers knocked us out in the round of 16, defeating us 3-2 on aggregate. We got ourselves into the final of the Copa del Rey once again. This time we had Atletico Madrid to face in that final, and we defeated them 3-1. But in La Liga, with 3 games remaining, we remain unbeaten and just 1 win away from lifting the 4th title in a row. We won that game and then had to play Barcelona next to keep up our unbeaten run, which we did do at the Bernabeu, winning 2-0 with Patrick Vieira scoring, which meant we went unbeaten all season. Until the final day, when we lost to our local rivals Atletico Madrid, with Thierry Henry's getting on the score sheet, giving us our only loss across the season. And for those of you who are interested, he is currently on loan from Juventus, but making a move permanently to Atletico Madrid. So in what seemed like disappointment, was still a domestic double, winning the cup and winning the league. Not to mention Shevchenko's Ballon d'Or, which of course we really needed to, and this season he was just as hot, with 37 goals and 19 assists. But overall, the team was fantastic. The numbers here are amazing, and our team is developing into what I would say is easily the world's best team, and we've got another £287 million to spend. I really hope you're enjoying this video, because if you are, you need to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss another one like this. At this point, you're probably wondering how we're going to spend the £258 million to improve this team. Well, I found a couple of players, including Samau, who can definitely improve our right-hand side, or at least give us enough squad depth along with Robert Pires. There were some more signings in between, but none come bigger than Pablo Aimar for £15 million. That is a huge bargain. This guy could be insane for us next year. We did, however, say goodbye to Henrik Larsson. He was one of the first that we signed in our Galacticos era, and at 30 years of age, I've sold him to Valencia for £34 million. But as I said, we've brought in quite a few squad players this season, including David Villa from Sporting Gijon. Not to mention a £1.7 million move for Nemanja Matic, again another new gen, Diego Cavalieri from Palmeiras, who is just a really good backup goalkeeper for us, and finally John Onorisa, £7.5 million to give us another option at left back. And yet, even still, with all of those signings coming in, Giuliano Belletti going out, Samuel Eto'o going out on loan, we've still got £162 million to spend, and I don't know where we're going to improve this team. And the season started off with a bang, and the first game of the season was against our rivals Atletico Madrid, and we destroyed them. Gallardo got himself a hat-trick in a 5-0 win, and he could have even got 4 when he missed the penalty on the 56th minute. And if that isn't a sign that we're going to dominate the league, we then followed that up with a 9-0 home win and a 4-0 away win to Real Betis. But of course, it's not the league that we are really concerned with, it's the Champions League and the Ballon d'Or. However, in the Champions League, despite us having a major kick clash, we also started really well against Sporting, and Pat Vieira put in a banger. And despite us being eliminated early from the Champions League last year, Andrei Shevchenko has won another Ballon d'Or. That's 2 in a row out of the 3 that we need overall in the 6 seasons. We qualified nice and simple from the league phase of the Champions League, only losing 1 game to Roma and winning our other 7. And in the league, despite us even having a game in hand, we were still 8 points clear and unbeaten, only drawing 1 game 0-0 with Bilbao. We had some tough ties in the Champions League knockout stages, including Liverpool, but at Anfield we beat them 3-0 and Shevchenko scored a worldie. Then we faced Parma in the quarter-finals and beat them 10-5 on aggregate. But the semi-final was left in a precarious position as we drew 1-1 at Highbury with Arsenal, and Nicolas Anelka scored the equaliser. Back to the domestic season, and in both El Clasicos in La Liga, we managed to defeat Barcelona, including away from home, when we beat them 4-2. And we tied up the league table in April and still unbeaten with 6 games left and only drawing 3 games. The Copa del Rey was an even easier acquisition as we defeated La Coruña 12-1 on aggregate in the semi-final and then beat Celta Vigo 5-0 in the final. We then went into the second leg against Arsenal in the Champions League, coming off the back of an 11-0 win to Bilbao, which of course gave us all the confidence in the world despite the opposition to put up a great performance, and Shevchenko bagged himself another brace. And we made it to another Champions League final with a 4-2 win, 5-3 on aggregate, and we have Manchester United to face in that final. After that second leg, hilariously, we won another game 11-0, this time against Sevilla, and La Liga we finally wrapped up as the unbeaten champions, the Invincibles, with a 160 goal difference and drawing just 3 games. And I know at this point people are going to want the tactic. You can obviously see it there, but I usually give the save game file to my Patreon members and my channel members, so for this video I'll stick the tactic on there for you. But anyway, it's Champions League final time. That's what we need to concentrate on now. And of course, the age-old rivalry of Roy Keane and Patrick Vieira came up trumps again, as Roy Keane got himself sent off in 15 minutes. And that led to Roberto Carlos banging in the following free kick. From there, it was easy. Carlos got himself an assist with Nesta's header, and a third came from Raul from the penalty spot. And finally, in the second half, in one of the most one-sided Champions League finals you'll see, Gallardo put in a 4. And we are Champions League winners for a second time in Rome. And that, of course, is another challenge that we have completed. We just need to win the Ballon d'Or. And of course, it's another treble, so that's nice. This Real Madrid team was so dominant that they only drew a couple of games, lost 1 game in the Champions League phase to Roma, and lost 1 leg of a Champions League knockout stage, which didn't really have much effect, and won every single other game, with multiple games finishing with double-figure goals. And you like to think to yourself that Shevchenko could be up for a 3rd in a row Ballon d'Or with 55 goals and 15 assists. Raul even putting in a great season. Ronaldinho now becoming one of the best players in the world from that midfield. Gallardo is just insane despite Pablo Aimar coming in, and we've just got some of the best players in the world in every single position. This Galacticos side is probably the best that there has ever been, and yet there's another £238 million for us to spend. And after a season like that, who comes in to approve this side? Well, I decided to bring in Francesco Totti. £114 million. He plays naturally in centre mid, centre attack midfield, and up front, 3 positions we use. He's world class. He is a legendary Italian player from Roma, and he is phenomenal. He was the only player I decided to bring in, and we didn't even sell anybody really. We had players like Samuel Eto'o coming back off of loan that can help with the squad, and we started the season just as well as we ended it, with a 7-0, an 8-0, and another 8-0 win over Atletico Madrid. So now we ask ourselves, can Andrei Shevchenko win his 3rd Ballon d'Or, which means we will equal the amount of Ballon d'Ors that Real Madrid had during the Galacticos era, and yet we still can go to the next season to see if somebody wins a 4th, which means we actually do better than what they did in real life. Well, as always, Shevchenko started the season just as he was playing out last year's, and he was scoring a lot of goals. And coming off the back of our treble winning season, Shevchenko has to be the favourite, And yes, he wins it again. A third in a row, which means we equal what Real Madrid did in the Galacticos era. This sixth season, however, wasn't as good as our previous. We did lose a few games despite being dominant. And Barcelona put up a good fight, but as we got to 36 games of our 38-game season, we just needed one more win to secure the title again. And we once again made it to the Copa del Rey final, where we again lifted the trophy against Atletico Madrid in the final. In the Champions League, we faced some tough tests, including Bayern Munich in the round of 16, as well as Roma in the quarter-final. However, after beating Inter Milan 4-1 in the first leg of the semi-final, they managed to pull it back level when they beat us 3-0 in Italy. And they took the game to a penalty shootout, and we missed our first thanks to Shevchenko, but don't worry, Ronaldo also missed his as well. But the tie finally went down to a penalty shootout, and in sudden death, Belletti, our former player, missed. And after a very terrible performance in Milan, we go through to the final on penalties to face Liverpool. Domestically, we completed the double once again, and that also means now that we win 6 out of 6 in our new Galacticos era. And so we are one game away from winning yet another treble, which would really stamp our dominance in these 6 seasons. But when people talk about a dominant era, they will be talking about this game in Budapest, where Real Madrid absolutely decimated Liverpool in the Champions League final. Because we weren't just dominant, we were rampant, we were lethal, we were clinical, and Liverpool just didn't know what to do. And we somehow topped last season's with a 6-0 win this season. And that is yet again another treble. This team has just been so dominant, and in fact, goals-wise, 61 for Shevchenko in just 54 games with 27 assists. Gallardo got 33 and 46 assists. The amount of goals that we managed to score and assist this season is just absolutely insane. And we still have the opportunity to win 4 Ballon d'Ors in a row, because only 5 have been awarded since we started this video. Of course, we're doing this across 6 seasons. We've already completed all of the team challenges, but if we can get that 4th Ballon d'Or, which I think Shevchenko should be favourite for, then that really stamps this one as a big win. And so I checked back in November to see who won the final World Golden Ball, or the Ballon d'Or as we know it, and once again it was Andrei Shevchenko, the 4th in a row, meaning we have well and truly defeated the former Galacticos era in every regard. So this is where I set that challenge to you. Can you do the Galacticos era challenge using the retro database from 98-99 by signing no Galacticos players in real life, and maybe even go one step further and don't sign this man, because he was an absolute cheat code, winning 4 in a row in terms of the Ballon d'Or. See if you can build your own Galacticos era and dominate world football. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you press that subscribe button so you don't miss any more coming out in the future. Come along to MCM Comic Con or the EGX convention on October the 27th. We're going to be doing a Football Manager panel with myself and 4 other Football Manager creators. You can meet us after as well. And of course, watch this video right here, because I took the most OP striker in FM24 and I built a team around him.